like you lost another one.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me tonight on Conversations with Tara. Tonight we have an amazing panel, as you can see. And tonight we're going to talk about a topic that most people try to avoid, and that is mental and emotional health. I am just going to be here to facilitate some questions, make sure everybody keeps copacetic. By everybody, I mean those in the comment section. Y'all usually pass the 5 6. Don't try me tonight because all of these are my brothers up here, okay? I'm not afraid to go to jail. But anywho, you all already know my co-host D Mac, the cousin that's always about to snitch on me. But I'm gonna let the rest of the gentlemen introduce themselves. Some of us have been here with us before, some of us haven't. So Bobby Joe, we'll start with you.
Bobby Joe, live in Ackworth, Georgia. Been here for about 4 years, and just glad to be here. Oh, the greatest wide receiver over 50 to ever play flag football.
Jesus,
In
are we
case you
still on that?
we are. Well, I'm not in the Hall of Fame right now. I do not know, but it's political something. I don't know.
Because you are a referee, Bobby Joe. CJ,
Yeah.
CJ, you're up.
Oh, what's I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Yo. I was too busy tuning out Bobby Joe.
You know what? This was such a good panel. Now I'm scared. Go ahead, CJ.
Now I'm CJ. I'm actually in Arkansas, and I'm the other half of Two Men with me and Bobby Joe there, and I'm the worst receiver under 40 to ever play flag football. So,
Did you? You know what? Never.
Was that?
Jesus. I did not think this through. On paper, this worked. Mr. Tag Studios.
What's good, y'all? I'm Curtis Taz Williams. I just make comic books and take care of my kids. I ain't got the knees to play flag football, so I ain't gonna brag about no stats. So them knees left me about 10 years ago, but I'm happy to be here with y'all, though, for real.
Come on, join me on the bench.
Mr. Curtis, the other Taz, he does have one skill. He got enough skill to turn your girl into a comic book character. So that's a skill.
Hey, you gotta adjust. You ain't got no knees, you gotta adjust and do something.
And then last but not least, my IT Wonder Twin. Step up to the mic.
What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Sabir Abdul Haq, jack of all trades, master of none, and professional socio-political hellion. Your favorite IT person's favorite IT person. And I love to be able to say things. I love it by people, folks like me and Taz. We got no problems taking an IT skill, breaking it down to you so you actually understand it. Unlike most of our colleagues, but glad to be here.
Who isn't that? You know what? We're going to have to put a pin in that and come back and break that down for another show because that is so true. And I'm glad you put that in my head. But real quick, let me tell you all why I wanted to discuss this topic. One, shouts out to my wonderful, wonderful co-host and cousin D Mac. He showed me a video about a week ago. And it was right after I had a conversation with somebody I'm very close to. And this is my, I'll say, feminine ignorance. I know that I'm a cheerleader for my male friends. For years, I thought everyone else in their lives and in other men's lives were doing the same thing and being a support system. And watching the video and having a conversation with someone else, I realized men, especially black men, didn't really have someone to go to. that it was taboo to really show emotions. Because I have two sons, and I encourage them all the times to just let your emotions out, however they come out. Um, but as a woman, I don't know. I've never walked in you all's shoes. I don't experience the world the way you experience the world. If I cry, some folks gonna come to try to fix it. I mean, for different reasons, but y'all get what I'm saying.
Right.
And I looked up something that was disturbing, and I was like, I gotta get these men on here because you all are the most honest, publicly men that I know. This is not a shade or a downer to anybody else that's watching. Please do not take it that way. Some people can be open and honest in public. Some people choose just to do it in private. But when I looked up, just in 2017 alone, because I was too shook to look at any other statistics and keep going through the years, 75% of all suicides were men. And for those that left notes, because I like to do research, it's because they felt alone. So, my first question to you, gentlemen, who do you run to?
I mean, I guess I'll start because I'll tell you, I run to no one. And I think that's the case with a lot of African American men. You know, as a young age, we're always taught, showing emotion and things like that is a sign of weakness. You have to be that tough, strong individual. So it goes with you on through life. And I just got told this the other day by a young lady. She was saying that whenever I have a problem, I never voice it. I just hold it in. But it's just something that has, it's come with being African American male. So, like you said, I don't run to anyone. I just kind of, I guess you say, try to do self-healing or self-loathing, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I think a lot of men do because, just it shows a sign of weakness.
I think I'll chime in. I'm just going. Well, if anyone else, I think growing up, I grew up in a different. I'm Muslim. I grew up Muslim, and so when some of the same things and some of the same forms of oppression I may have witnessed that other people may not have, and so I would see different things, and people would be like, "Oh, well, you don't believe in Christmas." Or I was 11 years old when the Forest County School District, and I got no problem telling this to Dr. Wooler's face, in her face, and everybody else, even to this day, that they went and they said, "Oh, you're starving your kids," because I chose, even at 8, 9 years old, to practice Ramadan. Well, in the world we live now in 2022. People understand, of all ages understand, regardless of where you are in terms of your cultural background. But in 1988, 1989, Forest County, Mississippi, people wasn't really trying to hear that. And they said, "Oh, you starving your kids." When I, even at a 9-year-old self, opted into Ramadan. And so, I mean, I've dealt with that and other things growing up, even as late in my life as dealing with someone who I had actually just saved from drowning in a lake because I canoe. I saved them from drowning in a fate full of jellyfish. I had no idea there were jellyfish in a lake, but jellyfish. That I wound up trying to teach everybody talking about 9/11. That same person interrupted me mid my conversation and gave me harassing me about Islam and how dare I teach that and try to be able to explain things to people after all the events that happened in 9/11. So I would say, like, who I touch bases with would happen to be, I'm on a group text with some good friends of mine, and we regularly check in with each other.
I would have to say, well, up until recently, I got married last month, but I would go to my brother a lot when I'm dealing with something but I've always been in the mindset of just, kind of keep it all inside. I'm supposed to be the strong one that everyone else leans on. I've even talked to CJ. CJ is a close friend of mine. I've even talked to him about some things that were bothering me, but mainly, my brother. He's my younger brother. We're really close, and so when I had issues or something that's on my mind that's bothering me, I'll give him a call or go by his house and talk to him. Whether it's something dealing with mental health or when I feel like I'm about to do something stupid, he kind of talks me off the ledge, like, don't, that no, that's kind of stupid. But yeah, but mostly I just kind of, like CJ said, I just kind of, a lot of things I'll just keep to myself, or I'll go work out and try to relieve stress that way, and just because I feel like I'm not supposed to feel the way that I'm feeling, or I'm everyone's supposed to come to me and lean on me, and I'm supposed to be strong for everybody else, and I'm not supposed to have any problems. That's how I felt for a long time, and I'm just now getting to the point where it's like, it's okay for you to feel a certain way or have a bad day, or it's okay. So you know. mm,
I'll say this. For the most part, up until my father had passed, that's how I felt. I was just like, if I have to internally deal with it, that's what'll happen, and we'll go on. Then if I had something that I knew I could bounce off of him, I would do that. But otherwise than that, I did what we were told to be doing, which is, hey, it's fine, work through it, you'll be fine. And then after he passed, I was just like, you know what? Dealing with that and then not having any quote unquote outlet that we could go to and just not feel the stigma of, well, you're not tough enough to handle this on your own. My father just died. What other emotion can I feel at this moment other than like everything all at once? So it was just like, it took me some time to actually find somebody that I could act like one of my best friends. If I have a problem or if I just want to vent just to get it out of my head so I'm not constantly thinking about it, he's the one person I'll go to that I can just, I won't say unload, but he'll help me, just process so that if anything, I can process it on my own, but at least I have somebody I can say, hey, can you just give me a shoulder for 1 second?
Yeah. And I was just going to piggyback off what CJ was saying. It's 100% true for most of us anyway. I hate generalizing, but for most of us, we are taught from a very early age to just suck it up, deal with it, put some dirt on it and move on. It even goes back to when you see like boys and girls when they're kids, right? If the little girl falls, skins her knee, for the most part, again, everybody rush to her aid. They pick her up, they you're all right, they check on her, they make sure she's good. With boys, we just told to walk it off. We just told to get up, don't cry, don't show emotion. And a lot of times with a lot of men is that we internalize it for so long. We don't know how to express ourselves in that way. So even if we have people that are close to us, best friends, family, stuff like that, it still feels like what he was saying earlier, like you're weak somehow, like you're soft, because you haven't figured out a way to deal with it. Because again, you've been taught you got to be the provider, you got to be the strength, you got to be this, that, and the third. So when you do go through things, who do you get to turn to? Now I've been blessed because my family is close, and my friends, I have the same best friends I've had since elementary school. So it's worked out. When we go through things together. And just like my man said just a little while ago, you have to reach a certain age before it really kicks in. Like, it's okay. Okay, you ain't got to be the strongest human being on earth all the time. You don't have to, internalize all of your anger, because the crazy thing is when all that anguish, hurt, or whatever finally comes out, and I've seen it happen a million times with people, it's ugly. When you see a man finally break down, it is the ugliest, scariest, sometimes funniest, but it's usually just the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life, because he has no idea how to process them feelings. So that's a good question. Like, who do we turn to? When you get older, you have people. When you're younger, it's like you feel like some kind of punk or less than a man if you have to open up to people. So a lot of people just don't do it.
Well, I see, I think what it is, like I said, like when you go back, our parents taught us those things because it was just their framework of how they lived before us. So they had to be that way in that time. So that as times change in the world where we are today, I tell people all the time, we don't have as bad as they had it back in those days.
Right.
So the world has changed. So on the other end of that, perspective, it's a great tool that we, in a sense, I'll say that us men learn to be able to, I guess, self-heal until we find somebody we can, versus we never found anybody to talk to and didn't know how to deal with it. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, or one guy say a sweet dagger at some points, but I just think it was just our parents taught us back in those days because that's what they only knew. Same thing, I guess, with our kids. The world would change for them when generations down the road, and they'll kind of might look back at us and be like, man, my dad, my mom told me how to do this, X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't necessarily apply for that time and day, future wise. So
I'm glad you brought up the parental aspect because it's very prevalent in the Black community. I can say this. I don't know about other communities. So if it's like that in your community, don't sit there and go, Taz, you single just on the Black because I'm Black. A lot of times when you have daughters and sons in a household, when we're younger, the daughters are raised to be take charge, be in charge of the household. And sometimes the sons can be coddled and then thrown out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experienced that? And how has that affected your mental health?
I can say that it's a reverse for me. My sister will say it otherwise, but we're not going to go there. We're just
You
going to
ain't
leave
about
that
to
door
get me.
closed.
You're not gonna get me beat on
We
this
going to leave that door
podcast,
closed.
okay?
We're going to leave that one
Because
closed.
if that door pops open and somebody says, why you let him say this on air, I am snitching, okay?
But no, I can honestly say, because it was just me and my sister for a good while, we didn't, my mom, honestly, my mom raised us to be almost another version of, basically a version of her. If that can be said. And my dad, he did what his dad had did when he was my age, and younger. He was at work most of the time, and my mother had us most of the time. So when I saw him, I clung. Hey, Dad, what's going on? But then, he was like, I have to provide, and that's what his life was, because that's all he knew, because that's what he saw his father do.
And you bring forth the good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I'm just saying. I mean, that chain of, I'm going to do everything I've seen in my field of vision to do, and I'm gonna pass that down on the line to the next generation, and hopefully they'll continue, and not realizing that some things just don't need to be passed down.
yeah, so you're saying you basically like kind of duplicated what he was doing with you, and then okay, I got you. Yeah.
And then even what I hear you saying, bro, is like something that a lot of us like. Well, I'm a father. I'm the father. I don't know about the rest of the gentlemen. Bobby, I don't think you get kids, but I'm a father.
I'm a stepdaddy.
You step there,
Bobby Joe is the child, Sabir. Sabir, let's not forget Bobby Joe is the child.
Bobby Joe is the child.
That he's about to be drafted into the NFL.
Correct. My bad.
He
can get the AARP card now.
That's bananas. But look, hey, but one of the things you bring forth a good point, right? Like all of us, you know what I mean? Like whether you had a father figure in your life or a male figure in your life, at some point they brought on the stressor, right? Because you said your dad was like, I'm going to provide. There is a whole different set of stressors that comes along with the fact that you realize that the buck stops with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times that, there are people in this house that may determine whether or not you do or do not eat, whether you do or do not have a warm house for them to live in. And that's a whole different stressor outside of whatever you're dealing with your significant other, outside of what you're dealing with at your work life, outside of what you're dealing with your own mental issues, or whatever different trials or tribulations you're dealing with. If you don't have that, if that's not there, there's a whole different set of stressors because they're too small to do anything about what's going on. And that's a whole different stressor. You don't want them having to stress through that, so you want to take that stress for them. That only compounds it, coming from someone that's been there. So, like my oldest son he turned 23 in October. My youngest will be 12 next Tuesday. My mid kid will be
wait a damn minute.
my mid kid will be 18 on my mid kid will be 18 in February, at the end of February. So I mean,
When did he become legal?
it's called time.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't expect him to say 5 years old forever.
Yes, I did.
Negative. Well, this thing.
Go ahead.
But definitely understanding, like, and again, I would say, like, just in terms of, now, I'm sure females and single mothers and everybody else who have their own set of stresses, but we're talking about men now. As a man that's been there, as a man that continues to be there, you have a whole different set of stressors. If there was a gauge inside of your brain that says you could do this at any given moment, when it looks like those lights might not be coming on, you go home and you flick the lights and you're like, oh snap, okay, thank God they came on. Or, oh man, we got a little bit of extra money that came in. Okay, I got some groceries. That right there, if you were looking at the gauge, that part right there talking about the home life as a provider eats up at least half of that. Everything else you stressing out, you got 50% or less, because I promise you that home life is eating up half of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, my father left when I was 30. I'll take this back. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. My father took care of family. She never went to work. When they got divorced, I was at about 13 years old. And when I found out that they were divorcing and getting divorced, immediately I felt like I was supposed to take care of the family. Even I couldn't even go out and go, and that's a big stress ticker. Even till today, I think I fail in life. And I always say, I won't get married until I'm in an area where I know my wife doesn't have to get up and go to work every day. But I think that just a subconscious thing from back when I feel the need that I'm supposed to take care of the family in that type of way. And like I say, it's actually a stress ticker. It really stresses you out. So I think I failed in life until I become to that point to say, hey, whoever she is, she doesn't have to get out of bed today, because I think that world is on my shoulders. Like I'm incomplete if I don't do that, as a person.
I mean, it's basically like we become Atlas at a certain point, and we have to take on that sky to make sure it don't fall or that nothing falls out of place. We got to make sure all the cogs is working, that they're oiled and greased and ready to go. And it's just like there's no free time for us to actually just literally decompress from everything. Because even when we get home and we relax for like a good 5 minutes, we're still thinking about what we got to do next, what needs to be done, what needs to be fixed, what bill needs to be taken care of. Where are the kids have the kids eaten? Did they bathe? Did they do their homework? Do they need help? Do they need this? I mean, even if you don't got kids, you're still worrying about something.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying women don't have their own things to be worried about. That's not what we're saying here. That's not what this panel is for. But for the most part, if you guys need something or stress about something, you're able to basically unload on either your girlfriends or us and go about the rest of your day to a certain extent.
To every man on the planet right now, I owe you all an apology, and let me explain why. Even though I believe that I'm a very understanding person and I try to look at things from all angles, listening to you all right now, I realize a huge mistake that I've made far too long in my lifetime. Because hearing you, I just realized something. A woman, whether she has children or not, could get anything cut off, get evicted. We have a lot of compassion for her. But a man could be holding it down for a woman. Woman may not work, whether they agreed upon it or not. And something could be cut off for 2 hours. And I am including myself in this because I've made these comments and I just realized that I did, will be much harder on the man because we just expect the man to have the answers. And as I'm listening to you all, I realize that when I get down and I get lost, I run to my daddy.
Hmm.
But I'm sitting here thinking, do I allow my daddy to run to me? Do I allow him to be just as vulnerable to me as I am to him? I know for a fact I do that with my children because my sons have developed this habit of telling me every day, which is uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But I know I'm just one woman. But just to every man, I am sorry. I am sincerely sorry for complaining about double standards, but putting a double standard on your shoulders. Because
And
that's
that's
exactly what we're doing. And when I say we, I am talking about the single mother, the woman out there in the world that's saying, hey, look at me as not being a monolith, but we're turning men into monoliths.
or building an ideal of what it means to be manhood without being legitimately XY chromosome, right? So I mean, so and I completely understand what you're saying, and I don't know, and I hear what you're saying. I'm just speaking just for me. I hear what you're saying. I hear the apologies you're saying. I think what people have to do is have to wrap their minds around what does it mean to be a man for them, whether or not you are a man, just like what does it mean for a woman to be a woman as a man, right? So cross in terms of cross gender, regardless of where you are, cross gender, there should be an understanding. I still have this saying that I believe right now: there is no such thing as a failed relationship. We only fail to appraise each other's sacrifice, and we fail to communicate each other's threshold. There is no such thing as a that's when it, and then when your threshold gets too high, that's when you're like, bye bye, holla at you, this, that, and the third. I mean, one of the things my ex used to tell me all the time, like she'd be like, well, a real man keeps money in his pocket. I'm like, I'm paying 85 cents of every dollar of expenses in this house. I have no money to give to give anything. So, but it's things like that that will also like eat at you, right? So, I mean, I hear what you're saying about an apology, but I think it just we really need to come to an understanding in terms of men and women, and not just men and women, in terms of partner to partner relationships, whatever your orientation is, understanding where people are and meeting each other, appraising the sacrifices, and then understanding and communicating a threshold. That's it.
Oh, I completely agree because DMAC and I have had this conversation where I admit what I find masculine is dependent on the individual. What I may find individually masculine about you gentlemen here on this panel, I may not find masculine in the next man that I come across. Does that mean he's any less masculine? No. Um, but there comes a time that we have to mature enough, and y'all know I love my women, especially my black women. But sometimes we have to give ourselves a good hard look in the face. Um, and I lost the comment in the comment section because you all were giving some great points, but I'm just going to paraphrase and tie it into another question from social media. Sorry if you see me look off. I got multiple devices going and I got questions coming in from multiple places. I am not ignoring anyone or anything like that. I'm just trying to maximize my time that I got with all of y'all together right now to get as much out. But we know that right now it is becoming more acceptable within the black community for black women to seek therapy. Are you willing to go against the trend if you feel you need therapy? Or are you going to wait for it to become trendy?
I used to
Okay.
bash it. And then I went with a friend, a lady friend. I actually went into a therapy session with her and found out that it was actually one of the greatest things ever. You know, um, So as far as waiting for it to be trendy, nah, and I'm just not that type of person to just do trendy things anyway. But I think that after trying it, it's worth you going to, or therapy could be in other forms. A lot of people think therapy would be, I guess, going to the office and sitting in a chair and talking to the guy with some tea or lady with tea. Therapy could be a lot of things. It could be sitting on a tree outside somewhere and just looking at nature. That's your therapy. Doing a podcast could be therapy. This conversation is I would imagine would be great therapy to a lot of people, even the ones that's on the panel. So I think therapy comes in all different size, shapes, and forms. So I'm all for it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
It's funny you mentioned that. So I'm in couples therapy. I don't know if that counts. We matter of fact, we had a session right before I came on here, and we do it every 2 weeks, and it's been very beneficial. And like CJ was saying, like therapy could be anything. Another thing that helps me cope a lot, and I know people like my Facebook friends. You shouldn't post a lot on Facebook. That's therapy for me.
Right.
It really is. I was telling one of my college classmates. He was like, he would call me and joke with me. He's like, do you have to post every 5 minutes? It's and people know I do post a lot.
He has me beat by a long shot, and all of y'all done seen my social media, and y'all know I love me. Bobby Joe loves him way more than I love me, and I stalk my damn self. Okay,
and it just be, and it's some BS. My classmate was like,
It
man,
is a lot of BS.
I mean, my classmate was like, I'm out here trying to change the world. You could post about going to Whole Foods and getting something from the hot bar, and you got like 87 comments in like 5 minutes, and I just, it helps me get through my day. It really does.
It's free.
It's disgusting
free.
to me. It disgusts me.
It don't cost you a dime. It's
It don't cost you a dime, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got stressors just like the next person. I'm a worrier, so we bought a house 2 years ago. I'm not a home improvement, home fix it person. I've been on YouTube, even though it's new construction, it's a new house. I constantly worry about what's gonna break and how am I gonna be able to fix it, or this home warranty or this or that. I worry about that all the time.
Get up me and Sabir. We got you. Between the two of us, we can fix anything, and we will automate that shit for you. I kid you not. We will have your house fixing itself within a year. I kid you not.
Well, I'm gonna hit y'all up because she found a crack somewhere, and I was freaking out. She was like, "There's a crack over." It was over by the back. I think it needs some caulk. It was something. I looked at it on YouTube, but I was like, oh damn. And I'm sitting there worried about
Bobby
stuff
Joe,
like that.
you done missed my earlier stuff. You missed when I put together the whole office. I built a bar downstairs. I'm telling you, I know that I'm girly and I got these nails, but trust me, there is a bodybuilder and a Tim the Tool Man that lives deep in my body. Okay.
Well, I hit y'all up.
It ain't deep.
It ain't deep. It is. Okay, secretly, I'm a man on the weekends. Since the beer want to put it out there, I'm a man on the weekends. Okay.
This is my therapy for the most part. I don't get to do it as often as I would like, as I'm working like 5 days a week. 40 hours listening to people literally yell, complain, and say everything underneath the sun. And I'm just like, you wouldn't say this in my face. You really wouldn't. You would never have the courage to say this in my face, but it's okay. I'm going to let you stand there because this one person today was just like, well, I got to make an appointment. I was like, yes, because they don't take walk-ins. You know that thing where they don't take walk-ins? So in order to see you and then you have your own personal time for them to talk to you about whatever, you got to make an appointment. Well, that's not very customer service friendly. I was just like...
Oh, and Sabir, this was an IT appointment, and we know how important that is. You can't just pop up on us.
And I'm just like, I really wanted to say, well, neither are you customer service friendly, but you don't hear me complaining about it.
Yeah, and for the folks out there, I don't care if you call a customer service line or an IT person individually, you cannot pull the pop-up game on us. Okay.
No,
First of all, we need to know what you need fixed or what you need done to make sure that we have the proper equipment there, because sometimes we can't tell you what to go get because y'all gonna mess it up. So unless you want us to blow your shit up, listen to us and schedule the appointment. But real quick, fellas,
yeah.
question. And I should have never told my children I was on YouTube. But all four of my kids that asked the same question. And I never knew I was today years old that I knew that this is what people were saying to my boys when they were growing up. What is your advice to mothers, whether single, married, or whatever? Because I was married, single, and dating all while raising children. But I allowed my boys to express their emotions just like the girls. How would you advise a mother and a son when they're being told that their mother is abusing them for allowing them to share emotions? And when I tell y'all, I'm trying to laugh this off because I'm not trying to break down on air, but I was today years old to know that my boys grew up with people telling them that I was abusing them for telling them to express emotion.
Yeah, I ain't got an answer for that one.
Were you forcing? You weren't forcing them to express emotion, right?
You were encouraging them. You were
No,
encouraging
okay. For those of y'all that don't know, little background. When raising my children, every Friday night until they started playing high school sports, and then we had to move it to Saturday night, we had a family roundtable. In this roundtable, all of the children were able to express themselves how they wanted, say what they wanted, even if they thought, hey, mom screwed up. They could say that.
Oh, okay.
But if my sons were telling me like, hey, when this happens, this makes me upset or it hurts my feelings, I'm like, okay, you can express it at that time. If you don't want to express it in front of everybody else, you can come grab me. We can go off to the side. You can express it. And it just has to be between, you and I. No different than I did with their sisters. Because, heck, I'm a woman. Sometimes I don't, like right now, like I said, I'm consciously trying not to have a moment right now because I don't want to do that in public.
So what I hear you saying is, how can they best be able to convey how that they're having an emotion that they're having, or convey?
Yes, like if how would you explain to a woman, like I said, whether married or single, and has a son and wants her son to talk about his emotions and not feel alone, but there are outside forces telling him that emotions aren't for him? I'm sorry, I'm taking 4 questions trying to mesh them together right now.
Listen, well, go ahead, Savitz. Go ahead.
Well, real quick, I would say lead by example. So if you know what that's supposed to sound like as a single woman, or even as a single father, whatever, and you know full well that there's a single parent, regardless of your gender, if you're going to go ahead and if something like that's happening, lead by example. Show what you mean by that. So you would start off and say, I had a very crazy day today. I didn't feel well, and I wanted to get something to eat, and I got cranky. However, and I almost clicked out on somebody else, and it made me super irritable, and that's not how I am. That made me feel kind of bad. So just to start the conversation off of it, don't be too wordy, be very concise, say exactly how you're feeling, and then start it off in that situation. So that way saying, okay, now you saw us. If I was talking to my kids, if I was saying, Caduce, Colin, Ish, like this, that's how my day was. Do you think you might be able to convey, share with me how your day was? And so that you start by leading that off by example. That's what I was saying.
I would also add on to that, like he said, be straight and concise. Do not beat around the bush. I don't. Okay, here's the thing.
My gay ass just took that all the wrong way.
Shush. Here she go. Anyway, so here's the thing. I can speak for me and probably most of the men on this panel. When we say something to you, there's no thread line or there's no secret text, no decoder ring needed for what we're saying to you. We're just saying exactly what we mean. That's it. There's no subtext.
Right.
So when you're speaking to us, please, and you want us to express something to you, no subtext. Just say it. That's literally the best way that we'll understand that it's a comfortable, safe space for us to talk. No subtext.
I'm glad you brought up safe spaces. And please excuse my ignorance on this. If it does exist, remember, I have a vagina, okay? And I like pink. Just because I like the comics, I still got a vagina. Okay?
Shenanigans.
Look, the only penis I got is in the drawer, okay? Do men have...
I am not on this phone call right now.
First of all, all of y'all are friends with me. All of y'all know how I am. Y'all agreed to be here. You're stuck. Anywho,
We
do
did
seriously. I said I was gonna call your mama, so technically you agreed. Do men have safe spaces?
Severe, you want us to field that one?
Yes. Barbershop. Barbershop number one safe space. Barbershop number one safe space. I can't say anything else for anybody else. Barbershop, pool hall in certain situations.
He's right.
And your place of worship. But barbershop absolutely always going to be your Switzerland, as they said in Luke Cage. That's always going to be your Switzerland right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
That's literally the one place where we're not worried too much about what's being said there.
Right.
Oh, y'all
And
love
you also ain't gonna
at the beauty salon, you better not say too much, because if you be like, girl, I got a good man, she gonna have your good man in 2.5 business days.
Man, all we in the barbershop arguing about is this LeBron and Jordan, and that's it. Like it's just a bunch of guys stuff. Just it's no drama. I can't even tell you the last time I seen an actual like fight at a barbershop. Like it's just dudes in there just chilling. And it's crazy part is I'm bald. I cut my own hair, but every now and then I just have to go just to be gone. Like it's a sanctuary kind of thing for us.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you. I was about to be like, Curtis, why are you in the barbershop?
Hey man, listen. Get in the back sometimes, it's just you can't be Patch Adams out here. So, sometimes you want the professionals out there. Like I said, plus the environment, it helps out.
Yeah, that Patch Adam thing, it's not a good look sometimes.
Right. And nobody tells you. You find out like, half the day later, somebody comes up to you finally like, hey man, you missed like 3 spots in the back of your head.
I would tell you, but every time we on FaceTime, Curtis, you don't move your head.
I'm supposed to show the back of my head on FaceTime, like, like, hey, Anthony, it's a good day today. Look at the back of my head. Like, I can't talk to my back real quick.
Okay, I'm starting to realize that I am the inappropriate friend that be having y'all look at stuff y'all shouldn't be looking at. I'll take that. But here's the $1 million question. Okay, ooh. Ladies of Twitter, y'all getting a little aggressive here.
Oh Lord, here we go. Buckle up, gentlemen.
We gonna close this for a minute because they are like,
we done caused the fire.
It's one question. Like all these women are asking. I'm gonna ask y'all. I mean, I get this is streaming on multiple platforms, but.
Good
the
Lord.
women want to know, how do you all deal with a heartbreak?
We find the next woman.
And they want to know if y'all eat ice cream. And I'm like, bitches, I don't eat ice cream. I just find a new bitch. But okay.
Right. I mean, that's basically the answer there.
They want to know how we deal with heartbreak.
Okay, no offense and no shade to any woman at this moment. But there is no ritual that we do here. It's just not done.
But
we just like, well, unfortunately, another one has bitten the dust.
Well, first of all, I have 8 brothers. And I am about
Yes.
to be 45 years old. And I just learned in 2021 that as a woman, I'm supposed to have a ritual and be heartbroken. I
Right.
thought when I broke up with one, that means I was free to go fuck the one that I wanted to fuck 6 months before we broke up. Bitch, I was trying to love you.
I was gonna say that's what Waiting to Exhale was for. That was the blueprint.
That's
They're
it.
Waiting to Exhale. You're supposed to sit around, get
See,
drunk.
there you go.
Then
You
when
had
men-
you had
Yeah.
books, you had
right,
movies,
right.
you had all
First
that
of all,
examples
if
to
you start
follow.
a fire where I live outside of a fire pit, they gonna charge you. Y'all know how I feel about my coins. Okay, that's not happening. Okay, number
I'm
one.
just
Yeah.
saying you
Number-
had your blueprints.
Number
We
two,
don't got none. So
I
we just
hustle too hard, and
Right.
I own the business. So fuck being a secretary. Okay, and I don't work for free. What the fuck? Oh shit! I done hung around with men too much. God damn it! Now I see why don't none of my relationship work. This is why a motherfucker asked me last month if I had a penis. I get it now.
Well, the one time I was in my feelings, I was not so nice to her, and I said some things to her that I would never say to another woman again. I was
Mr.
upset.
Bobby Biv DeVoe was mean to a woman?
Oh yeah,
I don't
was.
believe that.
And I disclosed a lot of things that
CJ, did he really do that?
You know,
I
now that
believe
he's saying
it.
it, yeah, he was kind of
he probably knows who. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about
he
because
was
I
more
know
of a
him about it.
suburban type of.
I
being
don't even
mean
know
to
Bobby
someone,
Joe that
you
well,
know.
and I believe that he was mean to
Yeah,
this chick.
I'm normally not that way, but I told her
It was
about
like
all.
if you get mad at somebody in the suburbs, you know, like
You
across the streets. It's not like in the hood, man. Like it was
you
more
know
like
how.
Okay.
You know,
Mr.
it's not age right.
Love. Do you get
Okay.
mad at some-
I
Yeah.
have one story about the in the feelings. I will say
Okay.
this.
go ahead.
This is one time. This is a one shot. So I wasn't seeing this girl. We were just talking at this moment, and she was using studying as a way of us talking. So we were studying, and then one day we had been studying in the library, and one day she decided to invite me to her dorm/study room thing. So outside of her room, but we were close. So we were talking, and so finally, we are very direct people. I think every man on this panel can actually attest to we are direct people. We don't if we feeling something, we're gonna say it. And that's it. So I finally just asked her, and she was just like, oh no, not really. So I'm just like, you mean I wasted my time? You mean I literally wasted my time?
Yeah.
So now, as a singer, I had a class that day,
It was so shady.
and I went into that room, and the song we had happened to be singing, oh God, I hate to say this.
He took shade to a whole nother level.
The title was I Fall in Love Too Easily. You can pretty much guess what happened. I literally knocked that song like it was my song. I wrote it. I produced it. Everything.
Y'all, he took the roof off the building.
The professor was looking at me like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." He didn't talk to me.
He ain't telling. He took the roof off the building, left everyone speechless, and this bitch was like, "Okay, y'all know the new Bruno Mars song, Smoking Out the Window?" She was like, "This bitch, yeah."
I was in my feelings. I was upset. I was like, "You wasted my time." I literally could have been talking to somebody else, already had somebody else on the hook, but you, ma'am, decided to sit here and play games. And they normally talk about us. And I'm just like, you dropped the handkerchief. I picked it up and gave it to you. Really? Is this what we doing? So I was so hot.
Two things. One, you gentlemen are getting compliments all over the place. I'm going to open back up this second device because I think it's safe to go back. Everybody is saying that this topic is very well needed and they're loving how you all are delivering the message. But we do have a question, and I do know that this is a man because this is my adopted son. And by adopted, his mama don't know that I stole him and adopted him. So please do not turn me into the authorities. Plus, he's an adult at this point, and do not ask how old I am. Just know black don't crack. Okay, here's a question. How do you all avoid projecting your feelings onto other people? Like when you're at your breaking point. Ooh, how do y'all? Because we women can get away with, snapping at somebody, and usually somebody just thinks it's cute and pats us on the head, doesn't take us seriously. But when somebody really takes you there, and how do you deal with that? Because as men, and especially as black men, I'm assuming, so I realize I could be making an ass out of myself with this next statement. I realize that. You can't really go Super Saiyan on the motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm imagining that's frustrating, but like I said, y'all take it away because I don't know. I'm just here to ask the questions. And I'm gonna open Twitter back up. I'm afraid.
How do you right now?
I want to see this Twitter feed later. I want to see what it was saying later.
I'm gonna need
even the feed. They're hitting my DMs. These heifers ain't even putting this stuff in the public. Like there's some questions I'm not asking y'all because some of y'all are in relationships, and I know y'all women, and I'm cool with y'all women, and they not about to come here and kick my motherfucking door in because I asked some of these questions. No, I don't know who you think is sexy.
First of all, I'm
trying to get information.
Secondly,
so except for these two over this side,
I mean those that are single. I will go through, and y'all know how thorough I am. I will get y'all the information but right now,
ask them single questions. I want to hear them myself.
Right, be as improper as possible.
First of all,
but
they're being specific to who they want me to ask these questions
to,
and I can't do that.
They try to get you.
Right.
Severe, they looking Severe and Bobby Joe. They looking at you.
That's that Bobby. That's that Bobby Joe. You like Bobby? Like
and first of all. Me and Ciara roll too tight with each other, and we got too much love. I will fight a bitch with her.
Anyway, don't worry about them. Focus on the question. Focus on the question. Here's that question again. Here's that question again.
Bobby Joe, bring him out.
Hey, put the question back on the screen.
Put the question back on the screen.
Wait a minute.
In this
put the question back.
I gotta find my glasses again. Shit, you know I'm blind.
You just took them off your face.
That don't mean shit. You know I sit still and lose shit. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go.
Wow.
I still ain't found that crochet hook. And all I did was go to sleep and wake up.
How do y'all avoid
projecting your feelings onto other people?
I would say like me personally, I mean, to be honest, it was not the best thing. I usually just shut down. Because it's so much of a double standard. If we get to the point that where women can say certain things to us, but we say the same thing back to them, then we are less of a man. We're basically I say jackasses or whatever.
Oh, we gonna fight you.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes you turn that into a big mountain from something that was small. So I mean the best I've ever done is just and my mouth is real slick. So
it's reckless.
Oh yeah. So you get me there.
You have vodka. Go get a glass of vodka, CJ.
Yeah. That's exactly why I'm drinking this water with ice.
I'm
a killer.
CJ.
Nah, I'm a killer there. But I'm real. Yeah, I'm real. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's just crazy out there. But I'm real reckless with my mouth, and I don't. When I say what I say, I don't feel the need. I need to take it back because you can't take words back anyway. Right. So if I said it, I said it. Deal with it, and that's just my personality. So now, to be honest, I just kind of just shut down. I'll be like, okay, you got it. It's not even worth it.
I think that's a universal thing for most men, not all, but most. Once we reach that point where we're just like, you know what, I'm just not gonna say nothing. Because I know if I say something, the wrong thing or the wrong action is going to make itself appear, and I don't need that kind of smoke. Like, we'll literally just shut down, and not say nothing.
Yeah. And it's actually easier like that. I've actually, I'm gonna tell you this because I dated two sides of the spectrum as women goes. I've dated that aggressive lady where she was scratching up my cars and kicking me and punching me and this and that. I couldn't do nothing back to her.
Aggressive. That bitch was crazy.
Yeah, she's pretty
Stop
crazy.
saying aggressive. I'm aggressive. Like, I will touch you on okay. Bitch, okay, let me preface this because I don't need nobody trying to hashtag me to me. I will toss you on the bed but with consent. Okay, don't be trying to don't start. No, Taz raped me. Oh no, I didn't. We had consent. Okay, now I might judo. I might do some judo moves on you but anyway, that's not aggressive. That bitch you was dating Sybil, motherfucker. You was dating Sybil.
Listen, but if you ask any other lady, they will say, oh, she was just too aggressive for you. She's a woman for you.
No,
right.
A woman says to another woman.
You asked the cousin.
Yeah. But if a dude say
bitches,
if we say that's a crazy bitch, a dude is not right.
First of all, you asked a cousin of crazy bitches. You asked
this bro said a cousin.
First of all, I'm not trying to go where they at.
Good Lord.
Damn that.
No.
Is enough.
No.
Okay, so let me put it this way. So one thing I want to do, like my answer to that question, how do you avoid projecting your feelings onto someone else? I can't deal with double standards. So much so I cannot deal with them even if I'm doing it. So I would say what I try to do is to one other thing I've had to live as another mantra to myself is let the standards you hold others to be the values you hold yourself to. So if you don't do a double standard, if there is no double standard, if you can't project anything else, if you're projecting any of your feelings or whatever, imagine what someone does to me. And then also, like, I mean, I went to therapy for, like, 2016 was a year that almost unmade me. And so I went to counseling for the better half of 2 years. And I learned so many different, like, communication ways. Like, so what I hear you saying is XYZ, or I think I hear you saying XYZ, or if there's something that's wrong, like that you disagree with, instead of saying I really hate you, that say like I really don't like it when this is done. And although that may seem as like passive, kind of, although that may seem as if that's kind of passive communicating, what you're actually doing is you're separating the behavior or the action from the person. And you're really listening to understand, and you're not putting that other person into a defensive position so they can actually get you some authenticity. I can't even talk. So, I mean, I would just honestly say, like, so that you can avoid projecting, like, really and truly, as you're saying something, or as you're engaging with someone that might be kind of trite or might be, a little bit of static, legit say, let the values that you're holding to that person be the standards and everything that you're holding for yourself. So, as long as there's no double standard, and I ask my lady all the time, I be like, if there's something I'm doing, if I'm asking you not to do something, and if I'm doing it, please call me to the carpet on it.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, you even do that as a friend. I will say that from experience. You even do that as a friend. I don't want to talk about it here, but there was one relationship that I had that was not healthy. And when I was making moves to get out of that relationship, I will say, Sabir was like, okay, I made this mistake. You told me don't make this mistake. Why are you making this mistake? Why are you taking this path knowing this ain't gonna work? Like, even just as a friend, it's still the same. First of all, because we're running out of time, can I ask you, because we're not done with this topic, so can I ask you gentlemen to join me again same time next week, same day? So we can continue this?
Oh, yes, I can. I can do next day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I should be good to go.
Okay. I'm going to get everybody's final thoughts, but before I do that, I just want to remind people, because y'all asked for it, so I said I was going to make it happen. Link is in the bio. The book club, Learning Through Black Literature. Don't forget, we're starting with this book. And even if you don't have this book, We're going over chapters 1 and 2, and I'm bringing you the historical context. And if you've never done a class or a book club with me, just bring pen and paper because there are, I hate to say it, some discrepancies in this book, and I'm going to bring it to you, and I'm going to bring you some history behind some excerpts so you understand the gravity and why it was important to mention it in the book. But for the night, once again, thank you, gentlemen. We do need to continue this conversation. And to you nasty heifers on Twitter, y'all just come on over to the stream and y'all ask y'all own questions next week. I'm not asking none of this shit. And CJ, I do not know. CJ and Curtis, I don't know if y'all have Twitter or not, but y'all need to make one. I'm no.
Just send the questions. Send us the questions. We'll just look at them.
I'm gonna make a fake Twitter under Bobby's name because then all of them come over there to him.
No, they come research.
No.
You about to give you trouble.
Mr. CJ, they want to see you shirtless, which I'm not about to ask you to do on my podcast.
Hold on, let me get a filter out first.
Mr. Curtis, they want you to talk nerdy to them. Sabir, there's some women asking IT questions that I don't think are legitimate IT questions. Bobby Joe, there's some heifers that want to be tutored in football, and I don't think that's their tutelage. And D-Mac, there's some bitches that want singing lessons, but I don't think that's what they really. I'm not okay. I am not okay. But
bananas.
Let's give the final thoughts on tonight. D-Mac, we're gonna start with you, then go to Bobby Joe, then CJ, then Curtis, then Sabir. Jesus.
No, he did not put his Twitter handle in here.
Y'all waiting to see who's
You
gonna see
shady. You shady, Sabir. Shady.
Let me know what they say later. I need to know too.
I'm sending a message. 'Cause I'm gonna
you better take that out before she gets you. I need you alive for next week.
I ain't got nothing to do with this. When you watch this rebroadcast, this wasn't me, sis. He did this on his own. I told him not to. Heart.
So
I am keeping that on standby because if I get a message going, what the fuck did he do? I'm sending that message. And I'm going to point her to this moment in this broadcast. Like I didn't shit.
Okay. I'll say this for my final thoughts. For the most part, I think we really need to take into account that we are still, most men in this generation are still carrying what the previous generation has put on their shoulders, and we really need to discuss and have an honest conversation about how to remove that pressure that has been placed on us.
I just want to say, black men, your feelings, they matter. It's okay to feel the way you feel. You need to talk about it. Talk to somebody. Surround yourself with people who are empathetic and who will listen and not just listen to talk over you, that truly have your best interests at heart and want to hear you unload. Just whatever safe space you need, whatever, if you need to get therapy, talk to somebody, just do it. But it's okay to feel the way you feel. Get some help if you need to.
Don't be afraid to love. That's it.
You got it.
Oh, you was good. I was just gonna say everything for as far as like the questions that are concerned. It's all about your experience and your growth. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff, and it just depends on how you grow from it. You know, just depending on whatever age you are now, 10, 15 years ago, you'd probably looking at the decisions you made back then like you were completely stupid. So, and then as far as the mental health is concerned, everybody's talking about mental health. Everybody's talking about how important it is. Please, men, especially black men, please don't think that conversation is for everybody but you. Like it belongs to us too. So take care of yourselves.
Right. Happiness attained without struggle is not worth keeping. Don't think that just because you don't sit there
That's a good one.
and if something does not make sense to you, or something it isn't automatically easy, ain't nothing that would ever came easy was worth it. So
Very, very,
Mhm.
very, very true. Once again, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for being open and honest. Like I said, we're definitely gonna have to do a part two. And Nasty Heifers, just shoot your shot. I done told who didn't have a Twitter to get a Twitter. Everybody else you can find on Instagram. That's all I'm gonna say. Uh,
I copied Severe. I copied.
I'm gonna get my ass beat. I'm supposed to be down in Huntsville
Bobby's a
with
thirst trap.
Roland at Robin's Garden to do a podcast from there, and I feel like these heifers is gonna meet me in the ladies' room while I'm there. Y'all
terrible.
fucked up. That's okay. I mean, at least I can fight, and just know I got a myriad of weapons that I come with. So fuck around and find out. But once again, thank you, gentlemen. And like I said, don't forget to join us tomorrow for Freeform Fridays. And cause now these nasty Twitter bitches done made me feel nasty. Tomorrow, you know what? Y'all gonna get me in my damn pajamas. Shit, that's what you gonna get. And whoever wants to join can join. I don't even drink hard liquor, but I'm about to after. Jesus. Oh, jeez. Oh, Jesus. But once again, each one teach one, each one reach one. And until next time,